Alright, Burke and the YearBurke staff. Today I'll be going over the Canon 85mm f1.8 USM lens. Now, unlike the last couple lenses I reviewed, this lens is not an L lens. But that does not mean it is not a superior lens. Alright, this lens is some very solid construction. This is known as a prime lens because it does not have a zoom. It is a fixed zoom at 85 millimeters. Now, I know that, Burke, you have been talking about getting some prime lenses because prime lenses come with a faster aperture at a cheaper price. Now look at how opened that aperture is. Look at how large. Oh, look at how large. So much light can get into this lens, making this lens extremely, extremely useful for all sorts of low light photography, indoor photography. Now this lens, personally, I've been using this lens since last year for basketball and other indoor sports, mainly basketball. I use this for gymnastics as well. This lens lets you get a very, very, very fast shutter speed and use a lower ISO, because at a 1.8 aperture, not only is this lens very sharp, meaning it takes a very crisp image, but it's also extremely, extremely fast at focusing. It has an ultrasonic motor, which focuses just as fast as any of the Canon L lenses because they also have ultrasonic motors. Now, this lens is actually better than all of my other lenses in terms of shooting low light and indoor photography. This is actually a very popular lens among Canon users because of its relative affordability at just around $300 compared to the more expensive over $1,000 lenses that we have, and the fact that it's so usable for indoor sports. The only drawback to this lens is at 85 millimeters and using our non-full frame cameras, meaning that we have a crop sensor, meaning that it's actually zoomed in more than 85 millimeters, we're actually not going to be able to take very close-up photos. For basketball and gymnastics, you're going to find yourself at a good enough distance to isolate a subject. Like if you're shooting basketball photos and you're standing in the bleachers, you're going to be able to get a good photo of one or two subjects maybe. You're not going to be getting a full field of photos, but that's fine because that's what we want in sports. We're going to want those action shots where one subject is smacking another one in the face or something like that. And with this tighter zoom, you're going to be able to isolate those subjects that you want, and you're going to be able to do that with a very fast shutter speed because of its low aperture. Now this little lens itself, obviously autofocus, manual focus, focus override, just like most of the other lenses, all the other lenses I reviewed. This lens is extremely useful, and I actually very, very, very much recommend we get not only this lens, but some other prime lenses meaning non-focus lenses, because they come at a cheaper price and at a much faster aperture. One of the cheapest Canon lenses, the 50mm f1.8, doesn't have ultrasonic motor, which makes it not optimum for taking sports photography because it doesn't have an extremely fast focus like this lens does. Now that doesn't mean that that lens isn't useful for other things like casual photos, indoor photos, all types of other photos like that. It just makes it less useful for photos that require a quick focus speed. Now, just like this prime lens, the other prime lenses will also have very optimum image quality. Out of prime lenses is some of the best, and that's the reason why people usually choose prime lenses over focus lenses. Now, one of the things I don't like about some of these prime lenses, especially these, now I used to do a lot of video with my DSLR, and that video involved handheld video, which without image stabilization and with a lens like this at 85 millimeters, which is zoomed in a good amount, there's a lot of noticeable shaking and like non-stabilized footage. So that's one thing I didn't like about prime lenses, that they usually don't come with image stabilization unless you're willing to pay a higher price. But that is not a big deal at all for photographers because, especially at the lower aperture, you're going to be able to bump up your shutter speed as fast as you really want. So Burke, I really recommend you take a look at some of these prime lenses. I can find you deals. I'm a lens deal finder, and I'll show you them, and hopefully we can upgrade the YearBurke arsenal with some prime lenses and help take some better, more clear, crisp photos of sports and other things and people. So yes, good seeing you.